All right, there we go. So welcome, guys. I think that this is our 12th or 13th quarterly top of the funnel missional meetup. We've been doing this for a couple of years now, and we're glad to have you. We might have a small group today, but it's okay. My name is Allison, and my husband and Steve and I serve with Create International, which is a ministry of youth with a mission, and we do video media for unreached people groups. So right now my husband is in Togo. He does West Africa. He does training in video production and making evangelistic films for unreached people groups. So that's what we do. I'm on the East Coast and it's snowing here, but it's not a snow day when you meet on Zoom. So here we are. And of course, Clyde is our mastermind behind this. Getting what he does is get people together and make connections for the gospel and for the kingdom. So we're really glad you're here with us. Um, let's see. I guess I can let you know that we did have a speaker all ready to come, Kylan, from a team in North Africa, but he's sick. So we're going to be punting a little bit today and doing something a little bit different. But it's bound to be a good conversation. So stick around and I'll turn it over to Clyde.
All righty. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it may be in your time zone. My name's Clyde Tabor. I'm in Southern California with the Visual Story Network, and I am a part of the Digital Disciple Making Network. Actually, there's probably scores of organizations that are, but we do have a leadership team that includes myself, John, who's in this meeting from Kavanaugh, and a number of others. I think there are 11 organizations altogether. And our whole kind of premise, and we've been meeting for 4 years on a frequent basis, is like helping God's people around the world use a media strategy, primarily a digital media strategy, uh, um, to use marketing strategies to bring people through a funnel, but connecting with them in a digital world, filtering them, finding out those who are interested, and seriously seeking more information about spiritual truth, and then bringing them into relationships on the ground where they'll be able to be discipled. So we kind of call it an end-to-end mindset or a strategy where it's not enough to just broadcast and it's not even enough to just filter, but you really work hard to make sure that those filtered contexts are brought through and connected with an ongoing relationship, preferably in the real world, not always, depending on your scenario. And in order to be discipled, and we just really want to see the kingdom come as disciples are made. Jesus said, go and make disciples of all the nations, not decisions of all the nations. And so that's kind of at our core, our DNA. We're very collaborative, as is in our name. We're a network. And we've been meeting on this quarterly basis to try to bring together folks who are thinking about what we call the top end of the funnel. And that is how do we use media strategies, digital strategies, to capture the attention of those people that are already seeking online, and then filtering them and bringing them into that relationship that I mentioned. So there's some real great veterans here, namely John Rawls, but then John Ricketts, who is with Media Impact International. And is that David as in David Benware? If so, just David, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Give us a shout out. Anyway,
I'll just
there's a lot
speak,
of folks.
excuse me, Clyde. I'll speak on David's behalf because he let me know he's traveling and can only listen, but it is David Benler.
All righty. So I won't ask you to speak, David Benware. So in any event, what we try to do is bring people who are thinking about this, living in this space, sharing best practices and resources, current trends, learning from one another. It's just kind of this community of practice. And so um, I will say this, John, you were in we do this also for this other sector, this folks who are interested in creating content. I think you were in our last call. And after however many years we've been doing this, I just kind of woke up recently and I realized, you know what, I think this particular community of practice has reached its maturity point. So um, at this point, we won't be continuing, but we will be available to resource you. because that's what we're still going to be all about is we want to make sure you have the resources you need, the relationships you need to get you where God's calling you to go. So with that in mind, we don't have our presenter. So John, I'm probably going to pick on you and anybody else. We'll make this kind of an open source conversation about, what are you dealing with? What are your sticking points? What are your opportunities? Oh, there's another expert. AJ has been at this for quite some time. Slightly new look there, friend. So I'm liking it. In any event, great to be with you guys. So I think I'll just leave it at that. And I'm going to assume everybody knows everybody, but maybe that's not a safe introduction. Maybe John Ricketts, tell us briefly, because you're new to MII. Just say what you told us in the pre-meeting.
Okay, yeah, sure, absolutely. John Ricketts, I've been with MII since the end of October. I had a hiatus a little bit, being out of office for being sick for about 15 days or so with pneumonia, but had some other things going on. But I really hit the ground running. I'd say the 1st of January with MII, and a lot prior to that was just orientation, getting to know the organization. And David Benware, obviously our CEO, who's on the call, but yeah, I'm our new international director. I have spent probably over 23 years in the nonprofit space. Worked with a global NGO called Feed the Children for 16 years. And then I also spent about 8 years in ministry. And so this is a new type of ministry work for me, but I love it already. And I can tell it's going to be a great experience and work as we try to reach more people with the gospel in this space. So.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And just give us the 20-second MII lives to or exists to.
Yeah, MII exists to extend the reach of ministries and global, indigenous ministries who are using digital media. We look to expand their network and their resources. So it's an exciting organization that uses media to train and equip these ministries for a greater reach. So. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And you're starting to do that. Thank you, Stephen, Allison, and John. If the rest of you so that everybody does know everybody else, put who you are in the chat, your org, if you want, your URL. I think I know most of you, but Darian, before you do that, can you give us a little shout out? If we've met, I'm not recalling. Tell us something about you, Darian.
Sure, yeah. I apologize for the noise. I'm in a coffee shop and they are currently grinding beans. So forgive me if it gets loud in the background. So I am with East West Ministries, digital strategist. I remember meeting some of you at the summit last October, the Disciple Tool Summit. But yeah, I'm still relatively new to the game. So I'm really just here to learn. Currently took over Rebecca Lindsay's position. You may recognize her name.
Oh, of course.
And I work really closely with Jordan Brown. So we're still kind of in the media to movements spectrum. We still oversee about a dozen teams, but they have completely really taken ownership. So it's mainly just walking alongside them and just answering any questions or concerns they have in the process. So
awesome.
Them every month. But
all right.
Yeah, other than that, we're just happy to be here and learn from you guys. So thanks for having me.
Well, and I'm here for the same reason. So I am the jack of all trades, master of none. So I'm maybe just going to prime the pump with John, AJ. Here's the other thing is maybe put a comment. If you have a question or a resource that you're looking for, go ahead and pop that in the chat. That could be something we address while we're together. But I think I'm going to do it this way. Always like to know, like, is there anything new? Is there any sticking points that, John, you're seeing across your teams? I know, David, you're not able to speak, and I know, John, you're new, but you guys work with scores of teams around the world. Darian, you said you just work with a dozen. AJ, you've worked with a lot of different teams around the world. It's been 3 months since we've met. I know sometimes a lot changes, sometimes it doesn't. Anybody just want to start it? John, AJ, John and John, Darian, here's some interesting things we've observed in the last 3 to 5 months that seems to be maybe a new trend. And Kate, welcome. If you could put your intro into the chat, that would be awesome. So John, you're never at a loss for words, so I'm just going to pick on you first.
Um, Sometimes I'm in a loss for words. I'm thinking about AJ over there going, he's got more wisdom than I do on this one. So, um, I think AI is going to continually be a thing that's going to come into that. So, I mean, for us, our focus is so AJ's a part of Kavanaugh now, and he's heard me make this spiel, but internet speed is one of them. So, moving at the pace of the internet on this, I recorded for the next 4 podcasts here for the next 4 weeks on some of this, but just how to leverage AI and technology is going to be another one of those things, and that's going to help with that. For data analysis, I think we're seeing it. I'm seeing it. You're utilizing it. There's 340 some accounts that I have full admin on, and so I try to pull this together to look from a global perspective. What am I seeing on some of this? Sometimes less is more, not having to beat things up. I'm seeing some really cool local teams doing some things with some online. We always talk about going online to offline, but I'm seeing some teams doing some stuff where they do online DBSs, online prayer, worship, live Q&A, some different things. So that was one of the next week's, I'm not sure which week it'll come out, but one of the podcasts was just uh, online engagement is a big part of that. So finding other ways that are middle ground before um, before even just, maybe they want to move offline. So building community online before it even happens offline. And I think this is an important thing too, because what you win people by is what you keep them by, especially in the Muslim world. They have tons of tools and things that they're using all the time. And then we go, yep, here we go. Here's one Facebook ad. And we think that we're just going to move them over. And there's a void there to it, which is why I think some of these content creators, Bible reading plans, things like that. So all of those things are really important, getting people in the word and being able to do that. So sometimes that can be part of it. There's some ethical considerations going on. There's some burnout issues going on that I'm seeing out there, or whatever else. So pick any of those you might want to say, whatever. But I'm still convicted that the scripture is the most powerful thing in the world that we have. So whether it be digital, physical, or video, getting people the word of God and then getting people to work together is the most powerful thing to that that we could possibly do.
Okay, so AI, get it. Ethical considerations. Just expand slightly on that.
Well, I mean, there's privacy issues that are coming to play. It's going to become more and more of an issue. It'll hit your organization in the pocketbook if you don't do it right. But there's also more personal level of respecting privacy. I'm not trolling people, lifting people up instead of tearing down. So both on a personal and a ministerial level, what are we consuming on? What are we filling ourselves with? What are we sharing and giving to other people? And so from a strategic point, we just don't want to, we don't talk bad about another religion or politics or whatever else. I don't have time for that. And that's not what I want to be about. Plus, it just helps keep our accounts open longer when we're not bad mouthing Modi in India or whatever else. And so we just think it's important to lift up Jesus. He is the one, his spirit is the one that does the calling and does all the hard work. So we're just trying to identify these seekers, faith brought there, see them formed into fellowship both with Jesus and then with other people. And there's so many ways to do that. There's so many ways to do that once it moves to offline too. And so yeah, that's the ethical stuff. So like privacy concerns, GDPR, all those kind of things are all things that I'm finding myself thinking about a lot, I guess.
Okay, well then I'm going to just thank you, John, and we can keep the conversation going. What are we for versus what are we against? Yes, thanks, Kate. So maybe MII, John, Kate, David, I know you can't speak, but yeah, like I know you guys are new to your roles, but maybe in your team meetings, are there any trends, things, sticking points that you guys are kind of like seeing surface in the last 3 to 6 months?
I'll lean in here. John, just to kind of piggyback off of what you've said, definitely AI is all the rage. And of course, we just saw Altman ask for $7 trillion investment for all the chips to be made. So that's incredible. And speed is definitely an issue. I would say that we need to encourage as many ministry leaders as we can to engage in all of the GPT, Bard, or what's now Gemini, all of the AI models that are out there, because it's training on our content. So if we don't lean in, if we keep the gospel to ourselves, that is a big misstep. So while there are ethical considerations, there are theological considerations, because the models are hallucinating a lot. We help improve that by engaging with it with our content. So I think there is a hesitation in ministry to lean into technology. So as much as we can, encourage especially pastors and people who can be good stewards of the word to lean in. I think we would be wise to do that as leaders in the digital ministry space.
All right. And you know what? Well, since that's a theme, I will mention this, and I don't know if any of you are going. We're sending one of our team members to the Missional AI gathering that's taking place soon, very soon. A little over 2 months' time in Orlando. It's sponsored by Biblica and a bunch of others. And I know you guys work with Faith Tech. I don't know if Faith Tech's involved with this one. SIL, Global Media Outreach, Biblica Innovation Lab with E10. So it has a bit of a language translation emphasis. I think that's kind of how it was birthed. But I think because AI is just becoming so ubiquitous that they're forced to deal with more of the ranging issues. So to my knowledge, they are the actual physical gathering, and I think there's an online version, dealing with some of those very emergent issues. So anyway, I put that chat in there. Anybody else going to that? Not here. Okay. We'll have El Michelle, who's part of our team, do a little write-up on it and push something out. On that note, too, we have our AR VR community, which is sort of a community of practice, but we have a little Facebook page. But we're also now expanding that over into AI, just because AI is again such a dominant force. John, do you want to add or contribute to anything? Any of those thoughts?
No, I think David, I think Kate and John hit it pretty well. So I don't have anything more to add right now at this time.
All right. Well, how about you, AJ? You live in this space. Just any thoughts, patterns, trends?
Definitely, I love what everyone has said, and I love the people on this call, some of whom I know better than others, that are diving into a lot of that. The first thing that came to my mind, though, is still just, it's all about consistency. So I love the new stuff, but in terms of what I see impacting most is whether or not people are being consistent in their marketing and staying with, not dropping off for 2-3 months with no ads kind of things. And so I love the new stuff and I'm excited about it, but it's the day in, day out to me that makes the biggest impact right now.
All right. So on that note, Alice and I were talking earlier. My son and daughter-in-law are going to give us our first grandchild in 2 months. And so we hosted a baby shower on Saturday. And baby showers are not the way it used to be when I was young. At least maybe it's my daughter-in-law because she's from Louisiana, but it was a production. Like people flew in from all over. We had like 50 people until I got COVID, and then it went down to 30. But my wife, I was upstairs quarantining, but I heard my wife downstairs and she said, and to your point, AJ, she said, just like in real estate, it's location, location, location. She said, with parenting, it's routine, routine, routine. And I shared that with Allison, and she goes, I'll seem into that as a mom. So, maybe that's just another way of saying what you said, AJ. It's like consistency, 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 routine, routine, routine. Pick your patterns, follow your patterns. You're a product of your patterns. Anyway, good words. I am curious, since AI is such a game changer. would anybody care, or maybe just go around, how, if at all, are you using AI? I mean, I use AI, I use Chat GPT, I pay for the $20 a month thing because that's my new Google search. And I know there's so much more. I just did the add-in on my Google Chrome browser so that not only can I search in Google, but it takes Google takes from Chat GPT, which is a Microsoft product, and puts in a little sidebar on the right hand side. So I'm getting the Google version and the Chat GPT 3 version of answers side by side. But John, how are you guys using AI at this point?
I mean, it depends on what you're using it for. We do it everything from content outlining. I've used it for data analysis, for content creations, for logo designs, for AJ, some stuff. I sent him some ideas, and they may all be bad, like, but it just gets you going. It's just another way to be able to do that. Depending on which one you use, it depends upon the source that you have on that. So personally, I've done some stuff where I've had my own data sources that I'm using. So I'm not sharing those and protecting those kind of things, and then doing some data analysis on that. And so there's some global trends. That's what I'm saying with some of those kind of things where I can use AI to help me on that, which is super beneficial versus the old school of using Python and trying to use NumPy and other kind of things to do data analysis. This way, it's a lot smarter than me. And so I can say something like, hey, here's all the data. Can you do a chi-square analysis or something on that? And it will do it and then summarize and say, these are your best things, or this region has the lowest cost, and when they're using this kind of thing or whatever else, because I'm not a fan of just global data. I think that's trivia. I'm a fan of using data to drive decisions or just test and iterations on that. And so for me personally, that's where I'm using AI on it. I used it in a call that you were on, Clyde, where it jumped in a Zoom call and it sat there and took notes. Perfect. But there were security concerns, so we kicked it out. But it's pretty cool. But then it started jumping into calls I wasn't even in. So AJ and I were on a call and I wasn't even there, and it was like jumping into it, summarizing calls he was in. So there's still some kinks to work out on some of these things, but those are some of the ways at least that I'm leveraging AI.
And I'm a data guy. I mean, I'm a left brain guy. I love data, love spreadsheets. I haven't figured out, like, how coach somebody like me. How do you get started in using AI for data analysis?
Well, it depends on your security posture to it, but it's if you're using, let's say, Chat GPT, it's as simple as uploading the document and saying, do a deep analysis of this and what trends do you see or whatever. Now you're going
Like
to
just
be
a full spreadsheet, like you
Yep.
drop it in like an
Yep.
Excel or a CSV or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one way you can do it. And so it depends a lot on your security posture and which one you're using, but that's one way. And you could
So
always scrub.
that's a starting point. Okay, that's helpful
Right.
for
You could
me.
always scrub that data and make it so it's generalized. Like you could change the locations. You could do whatever else if you're concerned about security, like say Chat GPT or whatever. But I mean, it's just super powerful. It's this unbelievably powerful way. And same thing with content generation. Let's do an ad of give me 10 different messaging ad ideas for this
Yeah.
topic or whatever else. And they may all be junk, but they at least just get you going. So sometimes you're just, you got writer's block or creative block. So that's one of those ways that I think it could be really powerful.
And how about John and Kate? Do you guys, do you know if you and how, if you guys are using data like AI for data analysis?
I know for me personally, I use it a lot more for research, just sort of generalized. I can't really speak yet for some of our field, our country directors per se. That's a great question for me to begin asking them, right? I mean, how are they using AI? I know for myself, I've even, John was talking about using it for data analysis. I think I've used it for a simple, give me a general script on a fundraising appeal, right? Some of my responsibility is generating income for the organization, and so I did that as a sample and saw how it was. And then John mentioned, it was sort of elementary, but maybe the more I use it, the better it'll get, hopefully. So, but yeah.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
General
And
research
our
first.
ability, our confidence in knowledge and knowing how to use it. Kate, anything from your vantage point like that you can speak to for yourself or for MII?
Yeah, I think that it will be interesting to see how the OLAMA localized models will be useful, because to John's point, the data security issue is real. So I think that once those models are developed, that will be very helpful for organizations and ministry who are in very challenging environments. So
What models did you say? I didn't fully understand.
OLAMA localized LLMs. So
OLAMA. What is OLAMA?
it's just a model that kind of like ChatGPT is a model, or Bard, Gemini, those Google's model. Those are various LLMs. So it's a model that can be localized. And so that will be very useful moving forward, as well as agents. So developing agents to conduct a lot of this analysis for us.
And what does that mean, developing agents?
So agents are essentially you can develop small tasks that are linked to one another. So it essentially you can say, plan a trip for me, and it will do a lot of small tasks for you that are linked together that develop the outcome.
Oh, okay. Anybody else want to comment on like AI for data analysis? Otherwise, I'm just going to do some cherry picking and see if and how you use AI for anything. But specific to data analysis, anybody else dabbling in that? Okay. And welcome, David. And oh, there's David's face. David Lim and David Benware. Nice to see your smiling face. Does that mean you're able to speak now, David, or are you still mute?
Able to, yes.
All right. So maybe you can add to this. Yeah. I mean, your thoughts and your desired either present or excuse me, future use cases for AI for MII.
We think it's very important, obviously, and I'm coming in not having full concentration over the last 20 minutes, but we are using it. We're producing content with it, moving video content right now. It's been absolutely amazing. Probably taking a week's worth of production work and kicking it out in 3 minutes. A really wonderful piece of content with moving footage. And we're obviously using it for scripting and things like that. But we're also going to start trying to figure out ways to, and John, you maybe have some advice on this too, as started to grade and filter some responses to our follow-up centers. We're dealing with, 14, $15 million messages a year, and a lot of them are not going anywhere. So we're looking to see if we can use this for kind of filtering purposes to try to get some things cut off before they get to our follow-up counselors. So that those kind of things are happening as well. Certainly workflow processes and running the organization, project management can all be helped with AI as well. So those things but we're currently actually using it, as I mentioned, actually creating content. And it's doing an amazing job, amazing work. Right? We're actually 2 workshops at BloomEd conference in Malta in 2 weeks on AI. So Nick Ryan's going with us, who's working with us again, and Kate's going with us. So it's going to be a good experience to do that there.
Awesome. And David, what can you tell us about your model? Excuse me for my little creak in my voice. In terms of when you run an ad, you guys have responders. How much do you use AI chatbots? At this point, do you use it? If so, how much? Like, can you comment further on that?
Yeah, I'm going to defer to Kate on that. We're using ClickFunnels and different things for those purposes. But maybe Kate, you can give some further insight of how we're using it now or in implementing.
I think there's some hesitation to use generative AI for chatbots just because of the hallucination issue. So chatbots, while useful, I think that there are some reticence to engage fully into generative AI chatbots just because of the hallucination and the sensitive work that it is that we do in follow-up.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, I'm
Fine,
gonna maybe pivot. Go ahead.
Can I?
AJ.
No, I'd love to. And Darian, I don't want to put you on the spot because I don't know how much you're involved. But I mean, East West is doing some really cool stuff with something called Faith Copilot. Darian, can you speak into that or?
Yeah, I was just about to mention that because with Kate
Thank
talking about
you.
LLMs and everything. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, AJ. We are in the process of building a Faith Copilot that you can train your own model. So like if an organization wants your own secure model, when it comes to chatbots and things like that, you can train it to have the Christian worldview however you want it to spit out. So you can we're doing it alongside Zach McCoy. He's the one developing it, kind of building it from the ground up, and we're creating it to where it's open source, but you can have your own account, and that way train it however you see fit for your organization or for your personal walk. So yeah, you can just train your own LLM models, and if you want to learn more or be a part of it, you can definitely jump alongside with us. We're always looking for people to join us in that, and who want to use it for themselves. So please reach out. I'll put my email in
Put
the
your
chat.
your email, if you don't mind, in the chat for those
Yeah.
that want to take advantage of
Jordan and I would love to meet with you and talk with you, and potentially jump in and train your own model if you'd like.
that. And for someone like me, what's involved, briefly? Like,
You mean
how would that, what would that entail, Darian?
it's basically the way I look at it, because I'm not well versed in this either. The way I look at it is it's using ChatGPT for your own LLM, large language model.
Got it.
So you could have any question you have. I'm like, was this he gets us at Super Bowl ad logical, biblical, political, anything, is how to make a disciple in a closed nation or things like that. Just however you want to utilize it to walk alongside you in your journey, from the hardest to the easiest questions. You can train it to however you see fit. And it has there's a tab within the link, and I'd have to follow up with you to have quick, easy access to the link. But there's a tab within there you can essentially draw out your conversation. Like, so you can ask its own question, you can put in your own answer to that question, and essentially train it that way as well, instead of just putting in a question. Different models spitting out different answers and picking the right answer you see fit. You can train it yourself to have the conversation as if you're the disciple and the disciplee. So there's two different kind of ways to train it right now. We have ChatGPT in there. We have a pre-trained model in there. And we'll ask a certain question, and then the things will spit out 4 or 5 different answers, however many you want to see fit. And then you can essentially say, I like answer A better, or I like answer A and C better, or I like answer D better in the training process. So it helps just to kind of use it to be able to suit your needs, however you desire to use it, because it can, like I said, it's open source, and it can be tied to however your organization is doing ministry.
All right, I'm going to keep asking general questions, because I'm just your comments are sparking other remarks or so
Yeah,
I'm now
sure.
back to you, John, on like, I'm thinking about, okay, like if I uploaded a spreadsheet, where does that information go? Is that now a part of the cyberverse and future LLMs, or like, what happens with that?
Yeah, it's very possible that is. So it's really important. I know none of us probably read the terms of service on stuff. We click, I agree to all things or whatever else, and we haven't read it or whatever. But that's pretty dangerous nowadays to do that. Where's the data being stored? On what servers? What access do they have? How can they use it? Because this comes back to Darian's thing there too. The quality of the output is dependent upon the input. So whatever data you're putting in is how good the answer is going to come back to that. So the more data there is, the better it is. And this is why you have, in a cybersecurity world, why you have certain groups that are just trying to get everything possible for data to be able to weaponize that or use that in other ways later on. In fact, I was out in Oklahoma City talking to YouVersion. They were saying one of their largest competitors of a Bible app is actually just a Chinese company that's just using it to data mine and to grab these kind of. So, this is one of those things where it's actually really important where that stuff's going. And so, but then that impacts your quality. So yeah, you throw that up in Chat GPT or something else, you don't necessarily have control. And people don't think about that. So they put their pictures, they take a picture of their passport, they take a picture of things, they put it on the internet. People can use this. And
So
they
when
can
you
use
put
it
it in ChatGPT, you're basically putting it into the cyberverse, and you don't know where that's going to land.
Every one of those are going to have different terms of service. So I would just say read up on them and see what it says to them. But creating your own language models is going to be part of that. To take every podcast or take every blog or take the scriptures in an open source scripture verse and say, here's your text to that, and then continuing to refine it. There's a company I work with that's doing the secure storage and passage specifically of LLMs themselves, of this data. So they see that as a huge need on the cybersecurity side of it. And so they're the same ones that I use for Disciple Tools, and all of those kind of things for a more robust, secure storage and stuff to be able to do that, because I think that's going to be a trend. Like modern warfare on a non-spiritual side is moving digital, and it is on a spiritual side too. People are utilizing these tools to weaponize, to attack mission teams, organizations, whatever else. So read the terms of service. That's what I would say. Like just good standard practice.
All 20,000 words or if 3,000 words.
But they'll address them. They will address it. It's the same thing with not just data. Let's just say, like, there's some pretty cool things when it comes to translation of text. There's some really neat AI things where I can talk in English and it will move my mouth, sample my voice, and have me speak in another language. Where is that data going? And where are those servers located? I mean, these are the kind of things that we do need to be thinking about, because you put a server and the data is being stored in India, I don't trust it. Like, that's not a safe place. There's a reason why Microsoft and others have certain locations for where their data is stored. And so I'm afraid we just have to start being a little bit more wiser, like serpents, when it comes to digital security.
Kate, your head nodding. You want to add to that?
No, I think that is so wise. And I think we've got to proliferate that message and get it out, because it is very important. We have to be stewards of the word, of course, but in this age, we have to be stewards of the data. So that is a great point, John. And especially as we are engaging in the mission work globally, it's going to become increasingly important. And it's so interesting that what your learnings were from YouVersion, that there are data mining Bible apps. That's wild.
Yeah, and Temu, by the way, is that just like, you know, they spend a lot of money on Super Bowl Sunday. Is that just that's a Chinese thing, right? As somebody, I haven't Googled this or ChatGPT this one. I did find out 2 days ago. I'm a language geek. I like linguophile. I'm a linguophile. So one of the tools I was told to use was Anki. Anki is just a flashcard review software. So I started using Anki, and it started getting really wonky on me. And then I'm like, why can't I get it fixed? I actually got the AnkiApp.com, which is like a Chinese knockoff. And I'm like, oh no, I didn't get the real thing. So just, yeah, pay attention, I guess, is important. DP, I'm going to pick on you. I can't remember what your role is, but can you speak within your org? You have any thoughts about, do you know how you guys are thinking about AI and integrations?
Not really. I'm more on a listening mode today. I'm not keeping up with the trends in the discussion, and our local Hungary coalition here for media movements is kind of on hold for a while. So I'm just listening in.
All right, fair enough. I appreciate that. Ken, are you there? If you are, unmute, because I want to ask you the same question. Ken is the founder director of the Digital Bible Society. Ken, tell me, what can you tell us about your thoughts about AI and integration? Oh, you are not muted, but I can't hear you. So your audio's off. So maybe play with that and come back and let me know. Or just, I don't know what it is. Say something else. Try one more time.
How about now?
Much better. Yes, go ahead.
Well, thank you, John. I really appreciate your thoughts and insight about security. It's you know, things are running so fast now, and people are taking advantage, and the world is in exploratory mode. But you know, this is something that's really critical, because there's a lot of people that are going to be endangered by by what we're doing if we're not careful. And I really appreciate your encouragement to think about it. We use it all the time. We use it every day. In fact, while I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm programming with it. Real simple programming that we're working on a lot of audio Bibles right now, and there's a lot of work tagging, naming, but we're able to just let it write scripts for us that help manage that. Speaking of audio Bible, we're also recording audio Bibles with some of the Creative Commons and the open source. We found with a lot of work, actually, work on the text, which you can use AI for that as well too. You can train AI to do some of the best audio recordings that are out there with multiple voices. So audio Bible recording is greatly being accelerated, and not just for English Bibles, but as many as 20 different languages. So we're in exploratory mode where we're doing that as well too, creating audio Bibles for free and widespread distribution. We use it for content creation. We use it for ideas. It's a fantastic research tool, understanding what languages are where, populations and issues where persecution is happening. It's like hiring 5 or 10 people for your staff, one subscription. It's just really phenomenal. I can't say enough about it. It's already changed everything.
Wow. Wow. And how involved, if at all, are you with Missional AI? I mean, I know you're involved with the IFOBA and all of that, and I know that the E10 Innovation Lab is a big part of the Missional AI conference in Orlando. Are you connected with that?
Well, we're Bibica's asking us to be there. I think it's like next month. Are you going to be there?
It's 2 months. It's in April, like 9, 10. I put a link in the chat. I can drop it in again just because I think you got in there after I dropped it. But
it'd be great just to go and learn. But it really is. It's jaw dropping. I mean, what the capabilities are. It's like whatever you could imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, I could sit here and just start demonstrating for you. One of my favorites is give me a list of all the Bibles, the Protestant canon of the Bibles in Swahili, and I'll have the list 1 to 66.
Bro, can you do that for us? Can you do this in 20 seconds? Like, can you do a little demo?
Sure.
A screen share and demo?
All right, if you let me share the screen.
Does he have access, Allison, or can you give him access? You should be good, Ken.
Okay. It's the thing is it's not rocket science, It is, but it's not. So let me just share my chat GBT screen with you. So let me know when you can see this.
Yes, you're good.
So here's what I'm doing right now. I just said create a terminal bash script. You do need to know some things about terminal and running bash scripts. And I say, hey, I just want all these names to be changed into Spanish names. And I'm doing this right now. This is just real basic. And it took about 15, 20 seconds, and it gave me the script that I can run that will drill through all files in a directory and rename them. But let's just start a new one here. Analogical order. And someone give me a language.
Turkmen.
It's probably going to say, that's going to be a tough one, but it'll try. Oh, there you go. It's giving you the Cyrillic script and then the English name next to it.
Wow. Okay. All right. And that's just like, that's like a basic information query, but you're using it for a lot more than just that. It's more robust for scripts, for content.
We are, Photoshop just came out with a new plugin that's AI that is so intelligent. We're doing reports. Donors will sponsor a project primarily for the persecuted world, but they want reports. And so we get these reports with these pictures, and we know we can't share them because they're going to be on the internet. But Photoshop now, in a matter of seconds, can take a Turkish guy speaking about the Bible or getting baptized, and then change his face to another Turkish guy in literally a couple seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's built into it's built into Photoshop now. It's just jaw dropping. It's just
Okay.
mind.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing. You can stop share, but that's really intriguing. I'm just going to, before we're going to start landing the plane, any final thoughts, comments about anything from anybody? I'm a learner, you know, this is sort of hopefully a little bit of an interesting conversation. It's here, you know, we're talking about media movements, and it's now like, hey, how does artificial intelligence help us use media strategies to find seekers? Well, it's content creation, marketing, research, filtering. I guess it's everything, if you so choose. Where it won't replace, and this is hopefully where it never will replace, is that on the ground, face-to-face discipleship. I'm always going to be an advocate for that. I know we're going to have digital or avatar disciplers. I'm just, yeah, I'm not sure what to say about that. Anyway, anybody else? Stephen, any thoughts, comments from you? I haven't heard from you.
Well, I have a question. It's not AI related. Is it okay to jump outside
Yeah,
that?
no,
Since I have all
you
these
go, man. We got a few
brilliant
minutes.
experts in the world. I'm at a coffee shop too. I hope it's not too loud. So my primary struggle, I have several projects that I'm kind of giving advice on in terms of, digital DMM activities, mostly Facebook ads, and I do a lot of content creation. I'm giving input advice. Well, there's one project, I typically come in the middle of the project. I'm rarely there in the beginning of it to give advice at that stage, which is frustrating. But I have one project where the guy's running, in my opinion, way too many ads and spending way too much money. You're talking, yeah, $1,700 a month kind of range. Ads all over North Africa, Middle East, the Arabic speaking world. And I guess my question, I have two questions. One is, how do I get him to tone it down? Because he's just really enamored with all these big numbers. That's one question that I'm trying, but I'm not succeeding. The other question is, my sense is that, he has so many ads running at the same time that they're kind of competing against each other. Could somebody speak to that? Is that true?
John, I'll give you first
or
shot.
Is that not true?
Yeah, and then if any MII want to take a crack at that, but you go, John.
Okay. Well, I mean, the numbers don't scare me at all. In fact, one of our best performing accounts that we serve is in a really hard, and not hard like resistant to the gospel, but actually a post-European one. And we're running, I don't know, there's like 30, 40 teams throughout Europe that we're serving with that. Well, one of them, I won't say the country, but I mean, they're spending $2,000 to $3,000 a month, but now they're starting to really get some. So the ad spend doesn't matter. There is an issue of where you're bidding against yourself or whatever. I worry more, Stephen, about burnout, honestly, that where you just get people and they're like trying to create 30 organic pieces and they got 5 different ads going or whatever else sometimes on it. So give it life, let it run, iterate, run some A/B tests. Now that could be different than running 5 ads. If you've got some variations to go into that where you could learn from it or run some different objectives or different creative that you're using to learn through that process, that might be fine. So that's what would concern me on that personally is, yeah, you may just be competing against yourself. You might be competing against other ministries as well.
Right.
So this comes back to AJ's on some of these things. Like we just picked up yesterday in one country that Clyde loves a lot, where now there's going to be like 60 cities. And that's where you start to get everybody working together. That's what Stuart's leading, this DJI thing, where now all of a sudden, I think your ad spend's even more powerful because you are very, very targeted on a broader way. And the algorithm can do its magic stuff with that too. But I'd be worried about burnout. I don't care about the money if they have it to do that, but if they're just wasting it, or if they're wasting it, you said something about numbers there. So if they're saying, oh, we got 10,000 likes. That's the thing. Like, what is your purpose and objective? What is your mission? What do you want to accomplish with digital? And is it accomplishing that? And it may be where they want to double that amount because they're actually identifying seekers or getting messages or getting Bible downloads or whatever their objective is there.
Yeah, and then one follow-up question is, so with multiple ads and multiple pieces of content, we'll go into these meetings and we'll be looking at 9 different pieces of content, and then we're comparing them. We're looking at the data, trying to analyze them. But I think with so many ads and so much data and so many pieces of content, it's really difficult to determine why one is performing better than another. Do you have some quick advice on how do we sort
Yeah.
through that?
I mean, you're going to get a different audience. Let's say there's 1,000 people. Obviously, it's bigger than that, but just we're in ministry, so easy numbers. 1,000 people, you run a messaging objective, you may only hit 400 of that audience anyway. So this is why layering your objectives is really important and thinking multi-stepped ad campaigns. But that takes time to get to that and to learn. And what are people responding to? And so AI can help you. It can't. There are some tools just doing data analysis where you could say, here's these results, what trends, but a longitudinal one, so over several months, is going to give you better data than we ran 3 ads. Why isn't this one working? We probably don't have enough real data, cultural data to come into that. If you have other fields you're serving, Stephen, that you could bring those in, that would help, because sometimes a country, a language will show different results than another one. The cost might be twice as much in another country, but that's actually a great result for that country. People they don't invite speakers in some of these places to speak at events that are paying $1 a lead, but that's maybe a great cost depending on that country. So I would just look at trying to get as much input on it as you can to it. Use some of these tools. There are some orgs that have even some data analysis people that you guys probably have one within your org too that might be able to help you do some of that, or
Okay.
even use like a chat GPT to help you analyze it. Ask the
And
right
thank you,
question.
John. I'm going to ask David if you have anything to add to that. And while David's responding, if anybody, and Ken, I don't know if you can do this, like a 1 or 2 minute video content creation demo, DP and I are both interested in that. David, you want to add anything to what John said to Stephen's question? And David, you now are muted.
So we just buy into that a lot of what John said, so not a lot to add to that. Kate is really the expert in this, and on our end, didn't get to appropriately introduce Kate. Kate is our new strategic service director. Previously was the director of marketing for Sony's faith-based division. So she could probably speak
Nice.
a lot better than I could.
Yeah, do you want to add, Kate?
I apologize. I was multitasking when you were asking the question, so I don't know that I would be able to address this since I was multitasking.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That was honest. I appreciate that. Can you or anybody else do a little video, like content creation demo? Because I haven't tried this.
We're not doing the video content creation, so I couldn't do that.
All
Also,
right.
we use images right out of chat or Dolly, but there's so much strangeness about some of the images, it's just not quite there yet. I mean, it's fun to use, but some of the images you have to look really closely. There's too much hallucinations going on right now, right out of Jolly or chat. So no,
All right.
and I haven't experimented with video at all.
All righty. All righty.
Coming back to me, I was actually multitasking, trying to find a video that I could show you from our MENA team. So I thought you were addressing the question about the ad spend. So I apologize.
I'm jumping all over. No, I'm all over. So do you have something?
I do, yes. So this is
Can you give her screen share, Allison?
The caveat is this is our Cairo's very first attempt at AI. They did
Let's
this
see it.
did in Canva in a couple minutes. So,
and it is also in Arabic. So
and did you say it was in Canva? Like Canva has an AI thing?
yes, Canva has a robust AI suite, and
that's probably a paying service. I have the free version of Canva. That's probably a premium.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And so the benefit of using Canva is, whereas a lot of the generative AI is making some very strange images, especially with the hands. What is it with the hands? Can't generate the hands. So Canva, because it has such a robust library of B-roll, it can draw from that library and create some pretty compelling content. So.
All right. So when you're ready, let us have it.
Great. Can you see that?
Not yet. No. You're not sharing screen.
Yeah. You see
All
that?
right. Yeah. And is this scripture that we're looking at?
It is actually a felt needs campaign.
All right.
So it's
So
a
that's
felt needs campaign that's
All right.
addressing loneliness, and is inviting people into conversations if they are struggling with loneliness and isolation, and invites them into a conversation.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm going to share my screen briefly as we wrap. I just dropped in a bunch of links. I like to resource people. So, I'm going to start that over. I don't think I did that, the one I wanted. Let me, so here are just some of the resources that we kind of point to, and some of you are here in this room. Yeah, I think here's one of the links. It's this. We offer a wiki for media and movements. There's a link for that. There's a global creatives Facebook group. Campfire is a partnered thing, a Create International, Learn, Connect, and Collaborate. We're a community of artists who love Jesus and want to share him in the world. Here's a media to movement Facebook group. I probably should stop sharing that one. That's not very active. Hey, we just launched a little course. It's not necessarily related, but I think it's really good. It's a short micro course on introducing people to Jesus using your mobile phone. And we're translating this into Arabic, David, if you ever want to see what that looks like for your Arab speaking crowd. John Kavanaugh Media does amazing resources, but even campaign ads and landing pages. MII, I definitely recommend their newsletter. Lots of other resources with them. The Digital World Atlas is something we do through Mobile Ministry Forum. Mobile Ministry Forum provides some static asynchronous training modules that you have access to here. And I think that's it. So we're just about in time. Any final thoughts, comments, Allison, or from anybody? I do encourage you to save the chat. So we will send out an executive summary, but if you go to the ellipsis, the 3 dots at the bottom of the chat box, if you want to save the other names, contacts, links that have been posted, go in and right click and do save chat, and it'll post to your desktop once you end this session. We'll send out a summary with the recording, notes, and links as well. And as always, we want to stay available to be a resource to you. So you can always ping me, ping Alice. If you know John, if you know David, we're all here to serve one another. We all want the same thing. We all just kind of are doing different parts, but we are better together than we are alone. So Allison, any final thoughts, comments from you?
No, besides a thank you to everyone who's participated in this gathering over these last few years, especially. We've really enjoyed this conversation. I really enjoyed it for a little bit of a Luddite like myself. This has been stretching and interesting. Not only today's discussion on AI, et cetera, but the whole catalog of conversations we've had over the past years. So all those executive summaries are still available on the Visual Story Network site, but we will send one with the link from today's. You should get that tomorrow or the next day.
Anybody else beside David and Kate going to Blue Med here, which I guess you say it's coming up, David? I don't typically attend. So Paulus is going.
Yeah, so it's 2 weeks from today it starts, or 2 weeks from today it starts.
All right. So Paulus, if you haven't met David and Kate will be there. And then some of us are EMDC folk. I'll be there in the spring in Thailand. So
and AJ just put in some information in the chat about EMDC and his track that he's offering.
And that's right. Oh my gosh. Quickly give a blurb on that, AJ. I'm so sorry I didn't do that. Oh, you are slow to the draw. Ask to unmute. AJ, can you unmute?
Gotcha. Sorry, my internet's bad. Yeah, EMDC registration's open, but especially I'll hype the training track 8 Foundations of Digital Disciple Making Strategy, put on by DDMN and Mission Media U. So this is a great, whether a team is already doing a digital strategy or hasn't started, because it's going to really be applicable to both, assessing what's your strategy, what gaps do you have with digital, and it's going to look at both the micro person-to-person use of digital as well as the macro, so broad scale advertising. So if you have teams that could come to that, I am going to say I would personally recommend it.
Yeah. So you don't have any excuses if you're like, how do I do this? There's lots of people, resources. We want to help. Take advantage of that. And I guess the same thing is true for artificial intelligence. Like, you just got to start trying. So that's why you got a lot of my questions that were very specific. Like, how do I do this even more? All right, we're over time. Lord bless you and keep you. Grace and peace. Allison, after we finish, can we jump back in and do our little wrap up? All right. Great to see everybody. I love
Thank you. Blessings.